Okay, today is my favorite kind of gardening, as is John's, and that's point and click gardening. That's where I point or anybody points and someone else does the work. And so today, Stuart has been so helpful because all of those things came out of the greenhouse. I wasn't sure where I wanted to put them. And all morning he's been here and we have really started to put different things in different places. And most importantly, I think the best quality in a helper is that they are patient and they don't judge you when you say, okay, put it here. And then you say, okay, put it there. Because it's a little bit like arranging furniture. So that's what we're going to talk about today. My decision points on where I put different, I need to be careful with that. Don't poke your eye out, speaking of. Where I decided to put different plants, what I'll be doing with those plants that came back from the greenhouse, knowing that there are more plants coming back from the greenhouse, and I continue to check my 10-day forecast. So we're going to talk a little bit about placement of topiaries, what things I need to cut back, maybe a different location for my beloved olive trees, and then we're going to finish up with, well, it's time to start our live Easter baskets. So I'm going to show you where I've got mine positioned right now for really quick germination. And well, I think I want them to be Easter Bunny ready. So there you go. What do you say, Stuart?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, I've said it a million times. Before there's beauty, there's a big old mess. And I'm going to be cutting back a lot of these geraniums really hard. And that will come, and that will be pleasant work, and especially these, because these are scented geraniums. And oh my goodness, it smells so good. So I think sometimes, and it's more of an art than a science, maybe, how you decide what goes where with all of your container plantings. And you may recall they were just here in a great big mound, and Stuart quite kindly helped me disperse them and position them where they needed to go, because some of them were pretty heavy. So what I would say is when you're trying to decide what goes where, just start somewhere. Just put your first thing in position, and then that thing will kind of tell you where to go next. And sometimes there's trial and error, and you'll position, one pot in one place, and then you'll think, oh no, I don't like that, or it's not going to get enough sun. So for me, probably the most pivotal thing that I did was I switched out these two plant stands. Okay, so the interior of this plant stand, which is really part of the set, and I got this from Gardener Supply years ago, I'd had this one over there next to one of the fig trees, and that one over here. Well, when I had an aha moment and I thought, oh my goodness, these lightweight window boxes were the exact dimensions of the inside section of this 3-part plant stand, well, it opened up all sorts of opportunities. And it's also nice because these begonias don't want quite as much sun, and this is a pretty shady area. So Stuart helped me heft these window box planters, which had been in the greenhouse, up onto and helped me stage them on this plant stand. Now, they still need lots of grooming, lots of cutting back, and I will feed them. But that was my first kind of major thing. Then that told me, well, if that plant stand went over here, then if I was going to switch them out, this plant stand wanted to come over here, and that's where I wanted all of my begonias to be. And right now, some of the things that have been in the greenhouse, ideally, I would have positioned everything in the shade and let it really get used to, these brighter conditions, let's put it that way, these brighter, sunnier conditions. But in this case, I just decided to go ahead and put them where I wanted them to be. And if some of the tips of the olive trees or whatever brown a little bit, well, I'm going to cut them back anyway, so I'm not too concerned. One of the big decisions that I made when I saw how this olive tree looked on the steps, and so many of you said, oh, Linda, leave it on the steps. But that was impractical. So I moved it over here, and I really like it here. So I will shorten some of these branches that are sticking out onto the patio to give clearance for walking by, but I really like it here, and I think it gives some needed softness to this area that didn't exist. And then the rest of it is just kind of visualization. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, one of the things I am most thrilled about that made it through the winter, and that's my little Miss Figgies. And the little Miss Figgies, this one and that one over there, they, unless we get a very hard freeze, these are going to bud out at the tips and up along the cane. So for the first time, I'll feel like I have really, really mature plants that didn't start out from the bottom. That's partly because we protected them during the winter. And by the way, I love Little Miss Figgies. They're in the Southern Living Plant Collection, and they have beautiful form, but they don't get just massive. So for me, they were perfect for these two spots. Now, the reason I bring that up now is because when these come into bloom, and or come into leaf, we might want to put a picture up right here. You'll see that the leaves are large, they are broad, and they have a broad, flat expanse. And that will make a beautiful textural counterpoint to the strappiness and the small leaves of the olive. So I think in both of those places, that will look really nice. I think I can visualize what it will look like. And then, see, it's so good, I've got a pointer. And then when I fill these baskets with those dragon wing begonias, and I have a big punch of red right here and in that corner, I think this corner will be much more pleasing to my eye than it has historically been in the past. And then my geraniums and things, they will go over here, and I'll just begin layering the smaller potted plants that came back from the greenhouse. As I tend them, cut them back, and as I said, feed them. So when we come back, a couple of other things that I cut back and how it just required a little bit of research to find out exactly what I needed to do. Okay, so I'm always suggesting to you that if you're not sure about something, then just Google it, or ask Claude, or just research it a little bit. And I finally took my own advice. I've had some of this Everillo carex from Southern Living. I love it. It's this kind of limey, yellowy, very fresh, very Eastery looking grass. But it was getting really brown on the tips. I hadn't, for one reason or another, probably because it didn't look too bad, I never felt like I needed to cut it back. But I just asked Claude if I could cut it back and when to do it. And the answer was, yes, you can, and do it now. So this will, once the temperatures warm up and the days get longer, this will start putting out really beautiful new growth. And that new growth will be unblemished, and the tips will not be brown. So it will look much more fresh, much healthier, and, well, it will just improve its appearance no end. So then my next thing I need to decide on is, what do I want to put as an accompaniment to the Everillo carex? And I'll decide on that a little bit later. Probably some annuals and something to just give a punch to these. And these may or may not stay in this location. The other thing that I've been pruning on is all of my myrtle topiary. And my friend Loy and Tom in Maryland and in Maine, they have two homes. You may follow them on Instagram. They have the most brilliant myrtle topiaries you have ever seen. And so I'm going to send you, Stuart, some pictures, and we'll put these pictures of theirs up. Theirs are massive. They just have perfect light and really know how to take care of them. But I'm trying to achieve some of the stature and the maturity and have some larger ones that have historically just been kind of tabletop varieties. So I've got all of these. I'm putting them into more sun right now because that's really what they want. And I have slowly been adapting these from shade and that other plant stand to this one where they will reside during the summer. If it gets really, really cold again between now and our last frost date, then I can easily bring these in. They're small and it's not going to be a problem. But these I'm starting to prune on with my scissors. I'll do more on this a little bit later, and then I'll arrange them on here. And then pretty soon, Stuart, if you don't mind coming over where I'm standing, you can see how things are starting to come together. I even have a clean table. So in celebration of getting a lot of stuff done, I built a little fire in my fire pit. I didn't even need Hub's help to do that. He is on an adventure and he'll be back this afternoon. So it's it's just beautiful. There's fragrance everywhere from the pinon, from the lemon-scented geraniums, and all of the grooming and the backyard hygiene that I'm doing right now is very, very pleasant work. So when we come back, let's talk about starting your Easter baskets. Okay, come on in. And while you're walking this way, appreciate that the steps are looking really nice, I think. So this was another change that I made, and I moved all of these large pots with the 3 boxwood in them to the center. That way, if somebody wants to go down this way, they can hold on to the railing, or more easily, that one's just there temporarily. They can come down this way or they can go on that side, and they'll be able to hold on to the railing. And at first I thought, oh, is that going to look awkward having these run down right in the middle? And it only looked awkward to me at first. When I got used to it, I thought it looked just fine, and it does make up and down access a little bit easier. So let's go inside. And let me show you what I used to start my Easter baskets. Obviously, I had baskets. And then I just got, and you can get any kind of seed starting mix. It's a little bit lighter and germination is faster. So this brand is, I don't know, back to the roots. It was just what I could find. And then I had some leftover perennial rice seed from when we overseeded the front. And so I just saved some of that seed to use in my Easter baskets. Okay, so you may say, okay, Linda, where are your Easter baskets? Well, come on in. Follow me. Now my kitchen is a little bit of a mess, so don't judge me, but this is where my Easter baskets are. So I think I showed you that I had some of these Easter baskets like this. So I've got 3 of them, and I've got a friend who's coming over with her 3 grandchildren, so I'm doing it for them. And all I did was put some of that mix in the basket. I took a gallon size Ziploc bag, and I just cut it in half. Then I lined this with this plastic. Then I put the dirt in. Then I sprinkled the seed on top. And then every few minutes, I feel like I just keep doing this to keep it moist. Then I cover up all of them with just a little bit of paper. I could use plastic. But all this does is just kind of keep the heat in and the moisture in. So I've got this pot that I'm working on. These are all grass, by the way. I've got this little one. And let me show you what that's going in. This one is going to be for Danny. I'll be right back, Stuart. Remember when I bought this sweet little basket? And I just love it. So this little basket's going to be for Danny. And then this will be positioned in here. And once it gets long enough, it'll just flow over the side and it will hide all of that ugliness underneath. And then in this one, this I filled, and this is the one that I showed you earlier I was going to put lettuce seed in. And so indeed I've done just that. So you may be asking, Linda, why do you have these on your stove? And it's because as I bake anything, as I cook anything, sometimes there's nothing in the oven. And I just turn it on a low heat, and that provides, since I don't want to use heating mats or heating pads, this provides bottom heat for all of these pots, and they will germinate that much more quickly. I mean, I could buy some of those heating mats, but why when I can use my stove? And this way I don't have to have all of that excess stuff lying around. So this works brilliantly. I used to do this at my other house. This is maybe the first year I've done it here. And I had germination in 3 days. So tomorrow will be 3 days. It will begin to germinate. And at that point, then I will take these outside and let them grow on. Because once this grass gets started, it's going to grow very, very quickly. And like I say, I keep my water bottle just to make sure that they stay moist, that nothing dries out, so that it grows very, very quickly and that they look great in time for Easter on April 5th. I've got a big crowd of people coming. I'm very, very excited. And my question of the day is just let me know, are you having an Easter at your house this year or not? And what kind of things are you doing in terms of your decor for Easter? This is the time of year that on Instagram and things you see all sorts of those little baby chicks and stuff. And it's just, well, it just brings out your inner child, I think. So thanks for hanging out with me today, kind of catching up on the backyard, what went where, how I kind of decide what goes where. This may be intuitive for you, but I have found that number one, start somewhere, and then that will tell you the progression of what needs to be done next. Don't forget that on April 13th, we'll do our next Linda Vater Live. A lot of you showed up for Hollister House. Thank you so much. And if you want to watch that presentation, I think didn't you record it and put it up on our YouTube channel, so you can do that. And then lastly, we had a couple of cancellations on the Linda Vater trip. So if you are still interested, that opened up a couple of different spots. And that will be May 1st through the 5th. And Stuart, let's put up a card here so people can see all of the fun that we're going to have. I'm really getting excited. As spring progresses, well, my excitement just escalates. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll be back tomorrow. Take care.